Ninth Bhumi Sutra. The bodhisattva mahasattva who wishes to surpass the stages of sravaka and pratyekabuddha and who wishes to take his place on the irreversible ground should exert himself in the perfection of wisdom. Sastra. I. Surpassing the stage of sravaka and pratyekabuddha. Question. At the moment where the bodhisattva acceded to dharmaniyama, he had already surpassed the stage of the sravakas and pratyekabuddhas and was settled in the irreversible ground. Why return to that here? Answer. Although these three events are simultaneous and linked one to the other, they must be praised in order. Similarly, when in a single moment of mind, the ascetic simultaneously acquires the five pure faculties, it is necessary to distinguish them and describe their characteristics each in turn. When the bodhisattva accedes to dharmaniyama, he destroys such and such fetters, acquires such and such qualities, surpasses such and such stages and becomes established on such and such a ground, but only the Buddha knows it. It is in order to guide the bodhisattvas that the Buddha celebrates all of that in many ways. Similarly, at the beginning of the present sutra it was said, the Buddha was on the Gridrakutta Parvata with an assembly of 5,000 bhiksus. All were arit, have destroyed their impurities, were accomplished and perfect, etc. It was in 3b order to guide other men and purify their minds that the Buddha multiplied these praises, and there was no fault there. It is the same here. If the bodhisattva has acceded to dharmaniyama, by that very fact he has surpassed the stage of sravaka and pratyekabuddha, and has become established on the irreversible ground. Furthermore, it is because he has acceded to the dharmaniyama that the bodhisattva has surpassed the stage of the sravaka and pratyekabuddha and is established on the irreversible ground. Question. But in acceding to the dharmaniyama, the bodhisattva also bypasses old age, sickness and death, he cuts through the fetters and suppresses the three evil destinies as has been said above. Why then does the Prajnaparamita Sutra limit itself to saying that he surpasses the stage of sravaka and pratyekabuddha? By acceding to the dharmaniyama, the bodhisattva is also established in many qualities. Why does the sutra say only that he is established on the irreversible ground? Answer. The bodhisattva abandons bad things and acquires the qualities. Later, the sutra will describe successively the qualities in which he is established. When the Dharma is explained, it is necessary to proceed in an orderly fashion. It is impossible to speak of everything at the same time. Furthermore, when the bodhisattva produces the mind of body for the first time, he is afraid above all of not bypassing the stage of sravaka and pratyekabuddha. For him, to fall directly into hell would be less formidable, for such a fall would not definitively cut a path of the Mahayana. On the other hand, to remain at the stage of sravaka or pratyekabuddha constitutes a definitive loss for the Mahayana. The caution of the cotton tree. Thus there once was a cotton tree in a desert land. Its fruits and its branches were great and broad, and birds in large numbers would gather there to pass the night. There came a day when one single pigeon sat on a branch. The branch and the fruit sprawl lay off instantaneously. The deity of the marsh asked the deity of the tree, when there are large numbers of birds, eagles or vultures, you were able to sustain them. Why could you not resist a little bird? The deity of the tree answered, this bird was lately sitting on an enemy of mine, the banyan tree, and, having eaten a seed of that tree, it came to perch on me. It will certainly let fall droppings, and, from the seed that has fallen to the ground, there will grow another evil tree that will certainly do me a great wrong. Thus, with anger and fearful of this pigeon, I prefer to sacrifice one branch. That was better. The bodhisattva mahasattva does the same. He feels less afraid of the heretics, Mara's troops, the fetters and evil actions than of the arhats and pratyekabuddhas. Why? For the bodhisattva, the arhats and pratyekabuddhas are like the pigeon of the story, for they destroy the spirit of the Mahayana and definitively ruin the work of the Buddha. This is why the Prajnaparamita Sutra mentions, as the most important here, only the fact of bypassing the stage of sravaka and pratyekabuddha and becoming established on the irreversible ground. Becoming established on the irreversible ground. Question. What is the irreversible ground? Answer. 1. The bodhisattva considers unborn, non-destroyed, neither unborn nor non-destroyed, neither shared nor unshared dharmas. Considering things thus, he is freed from the threefold world. Utilizing neither the empty nor the non-empty, he believes wholeheartedly in the wisdom of the true nature held by the Buddhas of the 10 directions. Nothing can shake it or destroy it. It is called conviction that dharmas do not arise, and this conviction constitutes the irreversible ground. 2. Furthermore, access to the bodhisattvaniyama is the irreversible ground, and the surpassing of the stage of sravaka and pratyekabuddha is also called irreversible ground. 3. Furthermore, the bodhisattva established on the irreversible ground obtains indestructible and immutable superknowledges from lifetime to lifetime as fruit of retribution. Endowed with these two things, and while grasping the true nature of dharmas, he uses his great compassion and does not abandon beings. 4. Furthermore, the bodhisattva possesses 2 attributes. 1. Pure wisdom. 2. The wisdom of skillful means. He possesses 2 other attributes. 3. High resolve directed toward nirvana. 4. Activity that does not neglect the world. He is like a great naga, whose tail is deep in the great sea but whose head is in the sky. He makes the lightning and the thunder but also makes the beneficial great rain to fall. 5. Finally, the irreversible bodhisattva who has acquired the wisdom of the true nature of dharmas retains it from one existence to the next without ever abandoning it, even temporarily. About the profound sutras of the Buddha he never has any doubt or difficulty. Why? He says, I myself do not have omniscience. That is why I do not know by what skillful means and for what reason the sutras are expressed in this way. Single quote. By virtue of his deep aspiration, the irreversible bodhisattva never does any harm. In his deep aspiration, he accumulates good things. Superficially, he may do bad things. The 2 kinds of irreversible bodhisattvas. Question. In his avaivartika quality, the bodhisattva has the conviction that dharmas do not rise. Why does he still do bad things by means of a superficial mind? Answer. There are 2 kinds of avaivartika. 1. The one who has obtained anutpatila dharmaksanti. 2. The one who has not obtained anutpatika dharmaksanti but who has received the prediction. The Buddha knows that because of his past and future karmic causes and conditions, this bodhisattva will necessarily become a Buddha for the benefit and happiness of other beings, and gives him the prediction. With his body of birth-death, this bodhisattva has not yet cut the fetters. But of all ordinary people, he is by far the foremost, and he too is described as a varvartika. When he obtains anutpatika dharmaksanti and cuts all the fetters, he will be purified. His last fleshly body having disappeared, he will obtain a body born of the fundamental element. Rid of the fetters, he will no longer need a teacher. He will be like a ship on the great Ganges river that does not need a pilot and by itself ends up in the great ocean. Furthermore, since his first production of the body-mind, he has made the great resolution of cutting all the conflicting foray emotiona and knowing the true nature of dharmas. Then he will become truly avaivartika. By practicing the perfection of generosity alone, the bodhisattva perfects the 6 perfections. The same by practicing the other perfections up to and including the perfection of wisdom. But by practicing the 6 virtues, the bodhisattva does not yet become avaivartika. It is at the moment when he produces a feeling of great compassion toward beings that he becomes avaivartika. Endowed with this feeling of compassion, he has the following thought. Dharmas all being empty, there are no beings. Who then is there to be saved? At that moment, his feeling of compassion weakens. But it happens that, in the face of the great misery of beings, the vision he has of the emptiness of dharmas weakens in turn. If he has the power of skillful means, the 2 things viz. the feeling of compassion and the seeing of emptiness are in balance without struggling against each other. The feeling of great compassion does not hinder the seeing of the true nature of dharmas, and the seeing of the true nature of dharmas does not prevent the arising of great compassion. That is skillful means. Then the bodhisattva accedes to the dharmaniyama of the bodhisattva and is established on the irreversible ground. See what is said in the Wang Cheng Pin, and in regard to the characteristics of the Avavartika, see later the Tuapipo Tche Pin. End chapter 42.